Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Reality Right After. My name is Wellington Gomez. I am your host, and today we are joined by another Bravo influencer commentator of all the things. I love your takes on Twitter. Every time I see you on another show, I love what you're saying, the energy that you bring to Housewives, and I just love other people that are on the internet talking about Housewives because it's one of my things that I love to do. So, hi, Jared Alexander.
Hi, I feel like this has been a long time coming because we've
I
been friends talking about
know.
this stuff for so long.
I know it has been a long time coming, and you've come to watch what happens live. I've seen you there.
Yes.
We've seen each other at events and stuff like that. But I am so happy that you're on the show today.
Yeah, I'm pumped too. I feel like we're eating well right now. We have some good stuff. So
I know, right?
This is a perfect first time for me to be doing this with you.
This episode gave us family feuds, messy business moves, shady party moments, and an unexpected pistol threat, which did not think we were going to get on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. But I just wanted to get right into it. So to all of the castmates that are listening, make sure that you are subscribed to our channel. Follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to the show and give us a review and leave a comment down below if you're watching this on any of the social media clips. Let us know what you guys think so far about the Real Housewives of Atlanta. I am currently loving the show. Jared, are you loving the show?
I think it's fantastic. I think it was long worth the wait. It feels like they really nailed it.
I agree. I think that, Atlanta in the last two seasons has been very slow. And it's been hard trying to find its footing while we see other shows flourishing or at least being able to move forward. It's been really hard for Atlanta to kind of be established and have a good foundation for a good season. They have good moments, but then usually it's kind of undertone. So to finally have a season that we're 4 episodes in and social media is backing the show, everyone is loving the show, I think it's great. I think we have an amazing season so far. We know that things are going to change quickly, specifically next episode we kind of see the whole Kenya stuff go down, but so far so good. Are you missing the Kenya confessionals?
Am I missing the Kenya confessionals? Yes, of course I am. I feel like that's the one thing. I feel like everything you just said, I completely agree with this season. It felt like Atlanta kind of lost its way for a long time, and particularly those last 2 seasons. But it feels like I would give it an A, and it would be an A+ if we had Kenya confessionals. That is the only thing that's missing.
Right, I agree. Well, to get into episode 4 of the Real Housewives of Atlanta, the episode starts with Angela, Brit, and a little family drama. Angela and Brit hit the park for a hike, but Brit isn't alone, of course. She is very bougie, so she brought along her dog, Mimosa, in a cute little wagon. Iconic or extra?
Okay, let me just... I would say it's somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle.
I feel like I'm coming at it with everything that happened at the end of the episode. But if I were to take that and put that in any other show, I would say it's a little iconic. It's kind of fun.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So the conversation turns serious when Angela brings up Charles, saying he used to be a great with my mom, but then she gave her opinion about something, and things blew up. I think that it was very interesting to see this thing from Angela because there is something there that I sense in her family dynamic from the first couple episodes of the show. So Charles, her husband, and her mom are not fucking with each other right now. That's a really hard dynamic to be in between your mother and your husband. It doesn't get any harder than that. Even though
we saw that with Candy. We saw that with Candy for years.
Oh my God, yes. That's so crazy. Thank you so much because I'm like, this seems familiar. We saw that with Candy. Mama Joyce did not let Todd have it, honey. Even though they apologized to each other, Charles is still holding a grudge, and Angela's feeling the weight of it, especially since she financially supports the family. At the end of the day, that means he's footing the bill. So, she's supporting the family, but by she means Charles. And she's kind of like, listen, we pay all the bills. Whatever it is that you're mad about, please get it together. Don't You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't even need to. Don't be so mad about it, because he's the one that's paying the bills. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's interesting, and I think some people will look at that storyline and be like, "Oh, I can't relate." I think a lot of people can relate to family dynamics like that, depending on who the provider is and how that changes. That changes a family dynamic, especially if you're super close with your parents and you are trying to provide for your parents and all those things. So, first of all, I think it's actually a really compelling storyline. I think there's probably more to it. I'm sure people feel there's another side of it. So I'm sure we're going to get more. But I'm just all in on Angela 1,000%. Like, I think there's
She's
something
so
about her.
too.
Gorgeous. Oh my God. I'm dying to meet her in person. But on the show, I'm just like leaned in. Like, I'm ready to go. Like, there's something there. There's something like she's like a little out there in a way I really like, you know?
Yeah. And also, she's very quick. Like, we saw her going back and forth with Shamea, and I was very impressed that, Angela, she seems very quiet and very shy, but when it's time to shade, she has the shade right there ready to give it to you.
She did. Shamina was a clean read. Like,
Shamina?
It was quick, too. She was really quick with it.
And smart. But I agree with you. I think her storyline is something that a lot of people can relate to, a lot of women specifically. And seeing her kind of like go through this and seeing how she kind of manages it, I think it will help other women. And again, the beauty of Housewives. So Brie relates, saying that her sister Tiara and Cher have similar issues with her. When I help my sisters out, they complain about not wanting Mike to be their daddy, they're to be there around for Brit to always have to be with her husband. The backstory: their father's sudden death from their father died from a sudden blood clot, and that kind of wrecked their finances and their relationship. Meanwhile, Mike is also helping Brit's family in the same way that Charles is helping Angela's. So they can kind of also relate in the whole situation that my family is not really messing with my husband, but our husbands are also the one financially covering our families. So I think that was a good connection between Angela and Brit right there. Also, Brit, there's a lot of promise in her personal storyline, seeing that she has so many issues with her sisters. We kind of see it in this episode later on. What do you think about Brit's story?
I think it is interesting, especially because, just like with Angela's, I think a lot of people can relate to that. I think also the underbelly of all of that is that they're both talking about this on camera, probably knowing that these other people probably won't be happy that they're talking about it. Like, that was kind of the vibe I was getting too, is that they're open up about this because they can relate to it, but also then it becomes a bigger thing. We've seen so many times in other housewife shows where people have really hard times with their families. You could become estranged with your family depending on how you talk about these things on these shows. So I'm hoping that at the reunion we get, good updates with both of them and their families, because with finances and family, it is tricky. And it's tricky. It can wreck families.
It really could. Meanwhile, Angela's throwing a party, but she's got one goal, and that's to hash things out with Shamina. So let's see how that goes. Brit switches gears to Kenya, saying that she comes off snooty in their last interaction. She's got a very nasty, nice vibe. We kind of already start seeing the situation between Brit and Kenya brewing so far. I mean, I know that it's hard to not foreshadow knowing what we know, but so far, seeing what we've seen on the show, what team are you on? Or is it too early to call? Okay.
If I were to pick, and I think it is rooted in what we've seen, like as a viewer, we have not seen enough, and that's what's crazy, is that we don't get Kenya's confessionals, but from what we've seen, it's really hard to follow where Brit got this riled up about her. Now, maybe there's stuff we haven't seen, and I'm sure that's where I am kind of interested. I'm sure I'll watch what happens live at the reunion. There's almost like I want to hear more from Brit with like where she was at, because her, even from the premiere, that first interaction, maybe we're all used to Kenya. It didn't feel like that shady of a comment to feel this way. You know what I mean? Right. It felt like Housewives Light. It felt like, oh my God, that's like when you meet someone.
Yeah, like, it's very like first episode of the season banter.
Yeah, it's been really weird I think that's the hardest part. It's
Yeah.
like, I'm like, how are you getting? I don't understand how she got from A to Z.
I agree. I agree. And I think there's still more to tell, obviously. We kind of see a little bit go up at the end of this episode, which we'll get into, so stay tuned for that. Switching gears to another scene on the show. Shamea in the Smooth Criminal moment. Shamea and her sister Tawana catch up while she preps for a big moment, playing her new song, Had, for the girls. Shamea's been in the music industry forever, but never got her big break. I was in the church choir, I was in groups, but I never had my shot, she says. She also brings up Angela's party, the nickname Drama. I was a smooth criminal for calling her LaToya Jackson, but the real moment, their combo nearly drowned out by the loudest lawmaker. I could not take it when all the lawnmowers were trying to cut the grass, and she was just like, that's why we're going to buy that other property soon.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, yes, like I love richness. But Shamea's another one. She got a lot of personal story, and her family is really, really like involved, which I love when a housewife's family is involved. She has this new song coming out. I mean, Shamea is joining the illustrious list of housewives that pursue music. Let's see how far this goes. I will say though, she seems to have one of the best voices that we've heard.
Yeah. Oh, beyond. And
sing,
Neva Had
for
is
real.
out, and it's great. The song is great. Like
The song
it
is great.
It feels like, you know, sometimes, and I love them all. I love my housewife songs, but some sound like a housewife song. Like I want to hear it when I'm out at the gay club, like dancing. But I don't need to be like, I'm not listening to it, I don't know, all the time.
Right.
This feels like a song that like I've
Never
really
Had
heard
is
on
a
the
song
radio.
you add to your R&B playlist.
Yes, it's good. The production's great. She's a great singer, and I feel like I'm all in on Shamea. All
Me too.
in. It is like
Me too.
It feels like a brand new housewife. Like they found this star. Truly.
And you know what's crazy? I saw a tweet. I saw a tweet that said Shamea should have been got a peach 10 seasons ago, and I so agree with that. Like, why have we been waiting on when it comes to Shamea, and why did we wait so long to make her a peach holder?
It is crazy. It's like she's been hiding in plain sight this whole time. I'm like, how the hell have we not been able to like see this girl? But it almost makes it even better that we waited this long and that the show's in this place, because I feel like she's the star more than Porsha.
And I think she's shining more now than she would have probably in previous seasons. So
I agree.
You know, divine timing. On the next scene, Porsha and her executive team. Porsha meets with her team. She needs to push her brands now that she's single again. She's basically saying, listen, like, I don't got no man. I don't got no rich husband. And we need to make sure that these bills are still getting paid. So we need to push all of our brands. We need to revamp everything. Pampered by Porsha. We're going to start doing, it's going to be a home line now. Like, it's just not going to be sheets. Like, we're going to do it all. So the rebrand, Pampered by Porsha, is getting a refresh. She wants more ambassadors for Go Naked, even though we see how that's going with Drew on the other side. A bomb gets dropped. Drew reached out to one of her team members asking if she and Dennis can film together to promote Go Naked, which I thought was shady. Yeah. Porsha is not here for it. Why does this feel like a single white female situation? She talks up when it comes to Drew. And then there's the contract drama. Drew still hasn't fulfilled certain things that are in her terms when it comes to her Go Naked contract. And Porsha says that she's going to have to talk to Go Naked HR about that. Someone on Twitter said this scene feels forced and scripted just for Porsha to talk bad about Drew. Jared, what were your feelings on this scene?
It definitely it felt a little bit like that. I'll say, like, I think whenever you're talking about your business on these shows, it's a platform. Like, we're used to it. Like, you're gonna promote it. I do think it did feel like a perfect way for her to be like, and another thing about Drew, like, so that she could talk about it again. But listen, make your money. Like, I feel like Housewives is such a huge platform. You get up on there, like, it doesn't really bother me too much. I feel like sometimes if it's heavy-handed, but we haven't seen Porsha in a long time.
Do you think that Porsha is overreacting a little bit?
I think it's hard to say you don't care when you react like you did.
Right.
You kind of can't have it both ways, and I think that is where, it's not like I'm on Drew's side, but I think I understand how it's like, if you're saying it's not that big of a deal and it wasn't a big of a deal, then why are you reacting this way?
Right.
And I think, I don't know. I think with Drew, yes, she is messy as hell, and it does feel like a lot of the audience is not down with like what they feel like is her lies and her antics. But I do think that she does engage in conflict really well. Like, she did go up to Porsha and was trying to have the conversation. She then tried again. Like, it feels like from her perspective, she's trying to be transparent with her in Drew's way. And Drew's way is not everybody's way. Exactly. That's not everybody's way. Some people are on the other highway or like somewhere, another different place. But I do think that it's not a landslide for Porsha for some reason. And I think it's because a lot of the audience is like, you care a lot about this.
Right.
You know?
Right. And listen, I get it. Things can... A lot of fans kind of don't understand, like, the background stuff of Housewives and their deals and what they're going to bring to the show and what they're choosing to show and what they're choosing not to show. I think that as a housewife, sometimes you don't want to show certain parts of your life. So feeling like, damn, my baby daddy has another connection to this show outside of me, so somehow he can somehow use this show against me if it ever gets like that, or he'll have some type of power to share things that I may not be privy to, because clearly we see him filming with Drew without Porsha, unbeknownst to Porsha, actually. So I can understand why Porsha can be upset about that, because she's like, listen, like, how do I control that? You know?
Yeah.
And what if I filmed with Ralph and got down to some messy situations with Ralph? You would not feel good about that.
Absolutely. And especially with Atlanta, it's always been one of those shows, I would say Atlanta, New Jersey, maybe a little bit Orange County, where like the husbands are very involved. They are very much, they've always sort of maybe had a confessional or two. We see that in Salt Lake
City too recently.
We do see that in Salt Lake City. That is also true. And they're very much a part of it. So I get why Porsha feels that way. Like, I get why you would be like, not only you're already going to come back to the show knowing that for 3 years you haven't really, outside of Ultimate Girl Trip, talked about your latest ex, who's now your ex now. You already have to talk about all this stuff. You're already coming back to the show. Now you have to worry about this on top of it. That's a lot to deal with. And I do think that it's nice that, you know, she was able to break that fourth wall. She was able to be like, you're filming with him and that's what's pissing me off. But, yeah, with Porsha, I feel like it's because she keeps saying that she's not bothered about it, but she clearly is. That, like, the words aren't matching the actions. And I think that's why some of the audience is a little like, okay, you know?
Well, castmates, if you're listening, I want you to tell me, like, are you understanding Porsha in this situation? Are you Team Drew? How are you guys feeling? I want to know. Let your opinions down on the comments. Switching over to Drew. Drew and Ralph are officially better co-parents than they ever were as a married couple, which I think was crazy to even admit. The fact that you guys are better parents when you're separated than you were when you guys were together, that's sad.
It is very sad.
You know, like, I mean,
that whole scene,
great for the kids, but that's sad.
Yeah.
In his confessional, Ralph drops major claim saying that he wants 50-50 of custody of their kids. The most ridiculous moment, the producer straight up asks Ralph why he showed up to his interview shirtless. Because he's wearing a suit with no shirt under. Which a lot of people on Twitter are saying that is very butch queen behavior of Ralph.
I think I saw some post that said that too.
Right. The elephant in the room, they're forbidden from discussing the divorce with their kids. Ralph throws a mini fit about Drew sending him articles about narcissism, saying, stop sending me that shit. And Drew feels like Ralph is a narcissist. Does Ralph give narcissist?
He does. He does. And also, it's just scenes like these that just don't it's not like I don't believe this is their truth. I do believe that they're co-parenting. There's just a vibe to it that is off. There's a vibe to it that's like, yeah, so
like,
you go.
No, I'm sorry to even cut you off, but I will say when I was rewatching the show, getting ready for the podcast, and I saw that scene between Ralph and Drew, it was weird to kind of like see Drew like smiling a little bit, and it kind of gave like, are we faking this a little bit? Like, you know, like it was weird.
Yes. It reminds me of some scenes, like, you know, when something is 100% authentic or not. There used to be some scenes, not all of them, but there used to be some Michael Darby, Ashley Darby scenes where it was kind of like that. They were like both kind of smiling. You know what I mean? Like, it was just a little like,
right.
Okay, yes, things are bad, but we're almost acting like it's a little bit more bad because the cameras are on us. Mm-hmm. Or things are good and things are okay, but we're acting like they're all good. So it just felt a little like, and then the fact that he got a confessional, I feel like every other tweet that night was like, Ralph has a confessional, but Kenya doesn't. Ralph has a confessional, but Kenya doesn't. It's just like, and it just, I feel like there's an expiration date on not Drew, but on this situation. Like, I feel like after this, it can't be, because since they came on, since they stepped on the scene, it's been Drew and Ralph, the saga.
Drama.
Like, since her first season is when he went down to Florida, right? I feel like it was that first season. So I feel like we gotta try and move past it. And I think, I don't know, how do you feel? Because I feel like people used to always lump Mia and Drew together, you know, with like people being like they're the liars of it. And I feel like because the way the Mia stuff went last season in Potomac, I'm a bit softer on Drew because I'm like, it actually feels a bit more authentic than what we were watching last season of Potomac. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm actually like, oh, okay, it actually isn't that bad. How do you feel overall with Drew?
So I think that Drew is dedicated to this show, and for that I will give her a flower because I appreciate a housewife that is willing to film a lot, that is willing to show a lot, and is willing to give the camera whatever the camera wants to capture. I do think that sometimes there is a little discrepancy when it comes to feeling like her scenes are genuine or that they are coming off organic. Like even episode 1, Kenya is coming over for a legitimate quick lunch, and you have a personal chef there. Like, to me, that's so fake because, like, Drew, you don't have personal chefs in your kitchen on a regular Tuesday. So, like, I can understand you hosting a dinner for the girls and there's a personal chef. That's stuff that all of the girls do whenever they're hosting stuff for the group. But you just having a personal chef there on a random Tuesday when Kenya is coming over to chit-chat for 2 minutes, like, it just seems disingenuous because I know that's not your real life.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
I'm
if Shamea had a personal chef, I wouldn't care. Because we can see that's Shamea's real life. Right. But since it's really not your real life, like, those are, like, my little problems when it comes to Drew. Like, I feel like it's just, like, little things that she's putting on for the show. But I will give her another flower and say that it does come off more genuine than Mia does.
Absolutely. And
but
I think,
I see why the fans kind of lump them together because we're always having to look at flashbacks whenever Mia and Drew are talking. Production has a lot of fun when it comes to editing any conversations where they're trying to clear things up. So we're not making it up.
Yes,
you know?
For sure. They definitely do. They definitely do.
So then we finally see a little bit inside of Kenya Moore's hair spot. Kenya meets with Kelly at Kenya Moore's hair care salon, but Kelly steals the scene. She's wearing 2 different color shoes, which I thought was so cute. I think that Kelly's fashion is really great on the show, and I feel like she brings this level of luxury and opulence that some of the older women appreciate. Like, I feel like Kenya usually tries to clock the girls when, like, the new girls whenever they're around, but she hasn't done that this season. Like, the girls are bringing it and they're looking fabulous while they're doing it. So I also feel like that's why even with Kelly, Kenya's guard is a little down. Kelly is also walking around with a bodyguard, and then she opens up about the fact that she needs the bodyguard because she has a restraining order on her MARK, which Kenya also has an MARK. And there's a restraining order because Kelly's MARK threatened her in front of the court while they were in for a hearing, and she feels like she's in danger. So that's crazy to see her walking around with a bodyguard. Her ex-husband, or I mean, they're not divorced yet, but you know, her husband seems like a
estranged.
horrible person, crazy. I feel like in front of a court of law is when you're supposed to act right. So the fact that you even threaten somebody at court, like inside, that's a lot. What do you think about Kelly's testimony?
Again, another new housewife with such good story. Like, it's so... I was, like, really emotional about it. Just because it was, like, she really was opening up. And it's frightening and scary. And I think that, again, a lot of women go through things like this. And maybe not all of them have the means to, you know, have a bodyguard. But I think a lot of women go through this. And they have to see themselves in this or feel not so alone, and I think it's just brave whenever any housewife tells a story like that. And the fact that we got to see the two of them, like, this is what just sucks about the whole Kenya thing, is that it's like they really were getting along, and
they really were.
Like, and I think Kenya even posted, she was like, it's heartbreaking that I couldn't tell my own story, but I'm happy that it happened, and we got to see that gorgeous spa and the way that they both connected. And yeah, it's like, that was probably one of my favorite moments of the episode. It was just,
it was a really fun scene. They connected really well. They had really good chemistry, which lets me know that, like, we were really on the brink of gold when we were filming this season, because, like, we have found some new women that can really, like, match the vibes of these OGs that we love. So I agree. It was a great scene. Kelly opens up more and says that her ex is trying to take her businesses, and Kenya then opens up and says that, listen, like, I am sunk $400,000 into her business. Like, this was supposed to be Brooklyn's college fund, and I don't know if I'm gonna make this happen. And to me, this was very emotional for me to watch as a Housewives fan, because, listen, I cannot say that I've been a Kenya Moore stan from the beginning. Have I been a fan of the Real Houses of Atlanta in general? Yes. So that within itself, like, I am a Kenya Moore fan. Like, it is what it is.
Right.
Do I agree with everything that she's ever done on the show? No. But we've known that Kenya has always been a hard worker. We've seen Kenya with Kenya Moore hair care from the beginning, to her getting on CVS, to all of the things that, you know, that we've seen her done with this business. The salon is supposed to be the final hurrah, the big moment. And in real time, when the season was filming and we heard of what happened at the salon with Brit, and the rumblings were starting to come out that Kenya was fired and yada, 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 Kenya did go on Instagram and said that, you know, it's been rough for the salon, you know, and that a lot of fans from the show have been doxing her, calling her phone, creating appointments and never showing up. Different situations that she had claimed. So then seeing it on the show and her saying that she's really scared about how the business is going to do, and that she's really dependent on this business to flourish because she's putting so much money into it. This is serious. This is serious.
Very serious.
So the fact that we know what happens later, it's like, how did we get there when this is how you feel? To be completely honest, no shade, but I don't know that I would have done that situation with Brit at my salon where so much is riding. And that is the one thing that I am going to, my sweet baby Kenya, hold my hands when I tell you this, honey, but we could have done better there. We could have done better there. What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, especially with, like you said, I haven't agreed with everything Kenya's done, but she's Kenya Moore. Like,
she's Kenya Moore.
She's always going to be one of the best to ever do it. Period. Full stop. No matter whether you are a fan of hers or not, she changed the game when she stepped on the scene. It'll always be that. And I feel like we've watched her get to this place. We've watched her become a mom. We've watched her grow as a businesswoman, and like
Mm-hmm.
it is bittersweet when you're watching that scene, knowing what's right around the corner, like what's about to happen, and it really is unfortunate. My hope is that with this, I was like, I hope that now, especially the way I think the audience is way more divided than when this happened last year, and we only thought we knew what happened.
Mm-hmm.
That maybe some of that goodwill goes back to the business, because the way my phone has been this week, I'm like, it's Team Twirl everywhere. Like,
Right.
so I'm kind of like, hopefully she gets, and I think I'm happy they did still show it. There's a reality of this where they could have cut her out of this completely, and they could have just picked it up after.
Honestly.
And left it at that. And they didn't. So I think that I'm as again, hard as it must have been for her to watch that, I'm happy that they did show it. Not like we got to see the spa way before, for its own little package before what's about to happen next week. And I feel like that's a bit of a win.
Right, that is a bit of a win. And shout out to those Kenya fans, because I know that they're enjoying every little scene that they get from their queen.
Yes.
We saw Brit go to dinner with her sister Cher, and things got tense very fast. Cher reveals she's blocked their mom, saying it's how she copes with her family. She's also mad at Brit, claiming she abandoned her after getting with Mike. And I quote, "Now, when I try to talk, Mike's always there." So, again, we're back to the situation with Brit and her sister. She has a sit-down with her sister. Her sister's over Mike. She feels like she doesn't get her sister anymore. Mike is always there. They can never do anything. What's really crazy is that at the end of the scene, Brit is kind of like rushing the dinner because Mike's calling her. So I find it hilarious that you're sitting down with your sister, where your sister's telling you that your husband is getting in between our relationship as siblings, and then you're rushing the dinner because your husband is calling you to go home.
Right. And there it is.
The call is coming from inside the house, honey.
Literally. And I always that's what's always so hard with situations like these, where these conversations happen on camera. Like, I always kind of take a step back. I'm like, okay, so on top of all of this, y'all are meeting for the first time in a long time and finally having this conversation, and it's like this. Like, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. So I don't fault Brit for doing it that way, or her sister for agreeing to do it that way.
I mean, we've seen people say...
It doesn't help things.
It does not help things. I mean, we've seen people say numerous times that, the show has helped them have very hard conversations that they probably would have never had with some of their family members, because, the show put them up to it. So I always think it's a positive when family members get to speak on camera, even if it's the first time, because at least they're pushing you to speak, and sometimes you need that. So we'll see how this ends up with Brit and her family again. Drew and Dennis are in the studio recording. And, of course, it's just so funny because Dennis is over here just last episode telling Porsha that he will never, ever, ever, ever appear on the Real Housewives of Atlanta if it's not with her. And here we are. Porsha, Dennis, and Drew in the studio. Mind you, the cameras are already there. Drew gets there, and the cameras are already there.
Yep.
Which is another lie that Dennis got caught on, because Dennis said, "Oh, I'm not the one that be filming. I be showing up and the cameras be there." Lies.
And that's where I think too that and again, I didn't even expect tonight for me to be like defending Drew, but I think it is inherently messy. There's no way that it's not messy. I do get the sense that she felt like he had handled this for her.
Right.
Now, she should have cleared it up even more. If Porsha wasn't texting her back, whatever, like Cynthia said, she should have picked up the phone and had the conversation. But I do get the sense that Dennis made it seem like that would not be an issue.
I agree too. I think that it was small talk that got lost in translation. Probably it was very much like, yeah, girl, like, don't worry about it, like, like, P's gonna be fine, like, I'll talk to her, like, don't worry about it, I'll talk to her, don't worry about it. And to someone like Drew, she's like, okay, well, he's saying he's gonna talk to her, but in reality, Drew, Dennis walked out of that studio that one night, forgot to talk to Porsha, went about his day. They don't live together no more. It's not on his head. And then boom, the next thing. You know what I'm saying? So I think Dennis has to answer a couple questions. Like, we need to hear from Dennis about this situation, because we already see Drew's perspective. We already know that Porsha is mad as hell, but the one caught in the middle of it all is Dennis, and he's the one kind of that we need to hear from.
Yeah. For sure.
Dennis advises her to take the lead in fixing things, bridging the gap between her and Porsha. Drew feels like Porsha has closed the door. She's willing to talk, but only when Porsha is ready. And to her, that just does not feel like, you're only willing to talk to me when you want to talk to me. Like, that's not fair to me. I need them to get it together. Honestly, like, I'm tired of this Porsha and Drew drama. Like, I've talked about it for 4 episodes now, and I'm tired of it.
I hope we get to the other side of it, because it can't be a whole season of this.
It cannot be a whole season of this. Like, girls, no shade. If I was a producer on the show, I would have been told you episode 3, wrap it up.
We got to move to something else.
Let's move forward. Let's move on to the next thing, because it's not doing it. Well, the night ends, and finally we get to the big scene of the night, and that is Angela's Black Excellence dinner that she has planned for the girls, which looked fabulous. Everybody looked so gorgeous. The venue was so nice. I thought it was so cool that they were like inside a vault. This was the same vault that it was on Married to Medicine. I don't know if you remember when Phaedra was introduced. You remember they were at a vault shopping for...
Yes.
You remember? Yes.
This was the same vault. Wow.
It was the same vault.
Oh my God, I had no clue.
They do a lot of events there. It's like an event space. The party is in Bankhead, and everyone's joking about the location being a little ghetto, and I guess it's the hood out there. But I talked to some of my Atlanta friends, and they said that Bankhead is not that bad. But, people think Bushwick is the ghetto. Anyways.
I was going to say, the way they were going on about it, I was like, well, damn.
Right. Kenya shows up in turquoise and immediately gets side-eyed by the other girls because she's supposed to be wearing black. It's a black chic attire. And production showed that invite flyer like 3 times to let us know that it was right there in the middle. Kenya says that she missed the memo and that she really didn't read the invite. Shamea makes a peace offering, which I thought was such big sister of her, literally bringing an olive oil branch to apologize about her LaToya moment and, bridging the gap between her and Angela, which I think was so commendable, and I think some of the other girls need to kind of like see Shamea's behavior and learn from it. Angela accepts the olive branch, says that felt real, and thanks Shamea for it. I thought that was so cute. Like, to me, like, conflict and resolution. You see, they had a little conflict.
That's what tells me that Shamea is a star.
Thank you. They had a little conflict. 2 episodes later, they resolve it, moving on to the next thing. Like, let's not, Shamea, another factor of her being a star, she's not trying to have drama just to have it. Because some of these housewives will literally just be in drama just to be in drama, thinking that that's going to make them iconic. And it doesn't. So the fact that Shamea knows when to kind of like put it down, she is a star. She was made for this.
Yeah, and I think the way, too, she's been around for so long. So, like, although she's been able to watch from the sidelines for so long, I think she knows, like you were just saying, like, she knows it's got to be real. It's got to be authentic.
Well, then comes the real shade when Kelly calls out Drew for supposedly not buying something at her Beaumont event. Drew says that she did, but Kelly says the receipts are just not there and that she still hasn't received the money. Supposedly, Drew bought it through her assistant, but again, Drew is always being caught in the mess of an assistant. Child, Atlanta must have the worst assistants that you could ever find. Because the Real Housewives of Atlanta are always falling victim to assistants.
These assistants, it's so true. They are running amok. It's crazy.
It's so crazy out there. Angela leads a shady Q&A game and it spirals out of control. Shamea mimes BJ when asked how she thanked her husband for her Rolls Royce, which I thought was hilarious. Shamea is always willing to let loose, which I think is hilarious too. A little, which I thought was like, where are we going with this? Porsha, get it together. Shamea decided to play her new song to the rest of the women, and Porsha is keen in correcting Shamea and saying, "Is that Drew? Is that Drew's song? Are you sure that's you?" Mind you, Shamea has her phone like this, playing the song to everybody, and it's just like, I don't know, Porsha, what are we doing here? It was weird. How did that feel?
Weird. It's getting weird, is what it was. I was like, what? It came out of nowhere. Like, you know, sometimes when you have like friends or like you're really close, and then you'll just say something, and you're just like, wait, what? It was like, it was giving. She was like unenthused, unimpressed. Not like she was hating, but it was kind of like, I was like, what? There's more here.
Right.
What is going on here? Like, we need to get to the bottom of it.
It feels...
And Shamea didn't even seem that... The big thing, too, is that it felt like Shamea was used to that a little bit. Like, she wasn't even fazed by that.
And it also felt like... The way I read it was, I don't know if you're trying to do this for the camera, but don't do it. I'm not even going to lean into it. So just, like, you know, like, keep it pushing. Like, she literally said...
It's my song.
It's my song. You got to listen.
No, I mean, she could have done the Robin Dixon and brought her JBL speaker out, and she could have played it maybe a little louder.
All of the other girls are legit like, congratulations, Shamea, congratulations, Shamea. It sounds beautiful. It sounds beautiful. And the first thing that comes out of Portia's mouth is, "Are you sure you're on that?" No shade. I would have flipped. Right. If it's my best friend and I am showcasing my song for the first time, and you're challenging me and basically trying to somehow belittle me, I don't know. It
really would upset me.
Castmates, how do you guys feel about this? Like, let me know in the comments, because to me, it just does not sit right. How would you feel if your best friend did that to you? That's what I want to know. Kenya lifts her dress to show her panties, screams all around. They're having a cute little key. They start asking questions. A question is asked about Drew. Reads it and it says, Kenya. No, I think Bree reads the question and she says, will Kenya talk to Brit with less attitude? And Kenya kind of deflects and she's like, I can talk to everybody here with no attitude. It is not a problem. And then Brit is like, well, no, we're talking about me, honey. We're talking about me. Which to me is like, okay, you see, you're getting a little riled up.
Yeah.
Like, too quick for me. Like, nothing is going on. And you're like, well, we're talking about me. We're talking about me right now.
Yeah.
And it's just like, girl, calm down. Like, what are we doing?
Nowhere.
Just like
she makes the most hot-headed of housewives. Like, she makes like a Jen Aiden look like sane, like not sane, like level-headed, like just
level-headed. You're right. No,
whereas she's someone who you know to be a hothead, but like it doesn't come out of nowhere. Like it's like that builds up for someone like a Jen Aiden, but like with her, it's just kind of like
she goes 0 to 100 very quick, very quick,
and it doesn't match like
never.
The math isn't mathing with what Kenya's doing at all. It's weird.
It's very weird. It's very weird. They get to yelling. Kenya's like, listen, like, peasants are not going to come for the queen. You know, very Kenya fashion. Brit starts to kind of like even say some of Kenya's catchphrases, which Kenya then starts calling her a fan. Things starts to get all over the place. The dinner is done. Everybody's getting up. Kenya's like, I want to get out of here. I don't like this girl is doing too much. We kind of see Kenya walking out with Porsha, and they're both agreeing like these new girls are doing too much. They're trying to have a moment, and they're trying to do it on our backs to be able to be on the show, and I'm not going to give them that moment. Brit is really pissed at this point. She feels, I think that Kenya's decision to not go against her and kind of like pay her dust got Brit even more upset, because here I am checking you about something and you're not even paying attention to me. You're actually walking away. So now I'm even more mad because you're not acknowledging what I'm telling you. So then Brit, at some point, Brit threatens Kenya, saying that she got her pistol on her. Kenya hears it. It does not sit well with her. Brit is in the parking lot going off, which to me, what we saw inside does not warrant what we're seeing outside from Brit at all. Like, you would have thought that Kenya dragged Brit by her hair. The way that Brit was going off. Get my husband, someone get... What is your husband gonna do? Did someone put their hands on you? Did someone get attacked? Like, what is this energy? I don't understand.
It's wild because Peasant is, like, I would say one of, like, the least shady things we've ever heard come out of Kenya's mouth or, like, any housewife.
It's
like,
so comical too. Like, Peasant.
It's like,
okay,
right. It's
we're
not
on
that
TV.
Serious. And then she did use one of Kenya's lines back to her. And Kenya clocked it. She's like, okay, so use my line against me. Like, it just, like, it's not. I understand if you come onto a show like this and you want to probably make a splash and you definitely want to, like, I get why you would maybe, and you and Kenya weren't at it at first, like, I get it, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to defend myself. Like, you have the right to do all that. Right. But I feel like what's not resonating with the audience is that it's like her reaction isn't matching what Kenya isn't even paying her any mind. None.
Dust.
And Brit is just, like, spinning out in the corner alone.
She's literally crashing out.
Yes. I don't understand it. Out. Also, and what's crazy is that she has I mean, we're going to see next episode, this won't be the case, I'm sure, but this is a version of Kenya that is so different. So different, so tame. She has literally just been like, okay, sure. Like, and that's not the Kenya we would have got 5 years ago. It would have gone to where it went in the first episode. Like,
I agree. Yeah. But again, it just feels so weird to me because it's just like, girl, Kenya is not even matching your energy. So you need to pipe down because you look crazy. Yeah, it's really, really hard. And it's crazy just seeing, again, I know online it's just like on every app, it's just a section of the audience, but it feels like overwhelmingly people are just genuinely confused as to how we got to what was there. And I do think that it's funny, I was rewatching that Tamron Hall interview that Kenya did, and you do understand now, again, we don't know everything that happened yet, and this isn't justifying what Kenya did. I think two wrongs don't make a right. But when she did say that she left a certain event feeling scared for her own safety, feeling like she was threatened, I think that there is absolutely a case for that. If you look at that and look at what happened very clearly, and she says in the car right out there, she's like, she was talking about all this stuff, like, we can't be rocking with this. Yeah. So I do understand from Kenya's perspective why she felt that way. You know, and also, you have to understand, Kenya Moore is a celebrity. Mm-hmm. These housewives are celebrities. So these new women are coming into the show. Yes, we're on the same show and we're on the same production company or whatever platform, but you're not a celebrity. You're a regular nobody. No shade. I'm not saying that she's a nobody, but you know, you're a regular person, insurance agent in Atlanta that's not known, that I'm being forced to work with because you got casted on this show. And one of the first things that you're telling me is that you have a pistol. Yeah. I don't know you. Out of nowhere. I don't know you. And then you've been acting a little too rowdy the last couple episodes. We're also in the hood while we're filming. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, so no. And like with anything in Housewives, this is work. They're at work. So that's a whole other layer where it's like, no, what? Like you, if a coworker starts talking to you like that. If Porsha would have said I got pistols, or I got a pistol in my bag for bitches like you or something, I don't know. Kenya would have probably been like, you don't got no pistol, bitch. Shut the fuck up. They know each other. There's rapport there. But what I want the castmates to understand is that you need to at least see Kenya's point of view, because she does not know this person. She doesn't know what this person is capable of. And of course, we may think that no one is going to come on the Real Housewives of Atlanta and shoot nobody, but we don't know that. We do not know that. And when I'm recording these TV shows, I cannot think that, oh, this will never happen to me. Because you just never know. You just never know. Like, so I can understand why Kenya kind of like took it serious. This is ghetto. What are we do? Pistols?
I still can't believe my eyes. I literally was shocked. And we watch all of it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm used to watching it all. And I was flabbergasted. I was floored. And then I also felt like, in the words of Candace, like, the line is always moving. Like, I just feel like
is always moving.
I'm like, is this what we do? I'm like, this is crazy.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah, I'm very interested to see where things go from this. We did see in the little hot mic, this season is full of hot mics, in the little hot mic one. Also, just quick little note, I loved seeing Kenya get in the car with Porsha and them driving off together. Like,
yeah, me too.
Their friendship has grown so much, and that's one of the things that I am so mad that we were cheated out of from this season, because I feel like we would have seen more of Kenya and Porsha finally being friends and being there for each other, because I feel like in this episode we got that. Like, we saw Porsha being there for Kenya and saying, girl, you need a ride, let's go. And I thought that was so cute. And they were debriefing at the end of the night. And, you know, Kenya is very upset by that pistol comment. And she's not going to let it go. And we know how Kenya is when she doesn't let go of something. So next week, we already saw the flashback. We see that is Kenya's hair salon inauguration, opening, ceremony. So, and we see that, we know that that's when the big posters with the pictures come out, allegedly showing Brit Edie giving someone fellatio. But we'll see, honey. Did Brit really come make a threat to Kenya? Can Drew and Porsha fix things? And is Kenya's business in trouble? Don't forget to subscribe to Reality Right After. I am your host, Wellington Gomez. Thank you so much for listening to another episode. Jared, thank you so much for joining me today on this episode. Tell the people, all of the castmates that are listening to us, where to find you and everything that they need to know about you.
Yes, absolutely, Wellington. Thank you so much. First of all, this was a blast, and what an episode for us to finally do this. I feel like it was worth the wait.
I know.
Yeah, and all your castmates can find me over at Twitter still at Hey It's Jared. I'm on Instagram, though, at The Jared Alex, and that's where you'll see all my interviews. I cover Housewives at Parade Magazine and all of RHOA there, so you'll see all my stuff there. And on TikTok, at The Jared Alexander. So plenty of interviews, plenty of fun stuff, and, you know, the Housewives, it never stops, so there'll be plenty more to talk about.
Thank you for all of your work. Real journalists are still alive and out here. So shout out to you over at Parade, covering all of the things that we love. To all of the castmates, follow us on socials for more RHOA recaps on Reality Right After. And for all of your reality TV news, make sure that you are following at The Reality Rundown, because that's where you get your number one source for everything reality TV, insiders and exclusives. Drop a review, let us know what your thoughts, and until next time, I love you guys. Bye. That